The accusations come from House Oversight Chair James Comer and Senator Chuck Grassley. So they say the whistleblower has flagged a document detailing a, quote, criminal scheme. It allegedly happened when Biden was vice president. They accuse him of accepting money from a foreign national in exchange for policy decisions.
So Comer has subpoenaed that document. It's a big swing by Republicans who have spent years investigating the president and his family. Some say it's a breakthrough. But according to Grassley, the White House could still block the release.
Do you believe that the subpoena will also ultimately be successful and Chairman Comer will be able to obtain this document? What level of confidence do you have?
It'll be successful unless the White House classifies this document. And they better not, because I know it's a non-classified document. But they could keep me from getting it by classifying it.
New York Post today saying that the clock is ticking for Joe Biden.
Wow. Clever. Team Fox coverage. Karl Rove has analysis coming up. Let's start with the news. Jacqui Heinrich and the reaction there from the North Lawn of the White House today. And Jacqui, good morning.
Good morning to you, Bill. Yeah, the House Oversight Committee and Senator Chuck Grassley are alleging, according to this whistleblower, that the FBI and DOJ have been sitting on this report that includes new information that then Vice President Joe Biden was allegedly involved in this pay-to-play scheme, and they've issued a subpoena demanding that this document get turned over. It's an FBI-generated FD 1023 form, and according to Grassley, describes an alleged criminal scheme involving then Vice President Biden and a foreign national relating to the exchange of money for policy decisions. It's been alleged the document includes a precise description of how this alleged criminal scheme was employed, as well as its purpose, they say. Comer issued that subpoena yesterday, and he and Grassley notified FBI Director Christopher Wray and the Attorney General Merrick Garland on Wednesday of these legally protected and highly credible unclassified whistleblower disclosures, in their words, saying that it does remain unclear right now what steps have been taken to investigate this, and raising concern they did about what they called the DOJ and FBI's track record of allowing political bias to affect their decision making.
I think it's a bombshell. This is really big stuff. I mean, up to this point, this is the first time that we have a direct link alleging or showing that Biden may have had direct influence here.
So the White House is being very dismissive of all of this. An official from the counsel's office is telling Fox, for going on 5 years now, Republicans in Congress have been lobbying unfounded, unproven, politically motivated attacks against the president and his family without offering evidence for their claims or evidence of decisions influenced by anything other than U.S. interests. When it comes to President Biden's personal finances, anybody can take a look. He's offered an unprecedented level of transparency, releasing a total of 25 years of tax returns to the American public. That's the extent of the information we have right now. Comer and Grassley have not said when this alleged crime happened or what foreign country was involved, Bill.
Okay, Jacqui, thanks leading our coverage from the White House. Appreciate that. Thank you, Dana.
Let's bring in former White House Deputy Chief of Staff Karl Rove. Great to have you here this morning. So this is coming at a time when the Fox News poll shows that Hunter Biden and his business dealings, when you think about that foreign business, do you think that there was something illegal there? 44% say yes, something unethical, 35% say yes. So when you think about that, combined with this news about a potential whistleblower and a document, we are in an election year. Do you take it with a grain of salt or with a degree of seriousness?
Well, we have to take it seriously, but we also have to sort of hold back a little bit. What we're talking about here, first of all, it appears the whistleblower is somebody either in DOJ or FBI who has seen this document, the FD 1023, which is either, we don't know exactly what, is that a transcription or a summary of an interview with a witness, or is that a review of documents? Again, we don't know. So it's going to be interesting to see, because not only do we have the letter from Grassley and Comer, we now have a subpoena from Comer. So this is the FBI will have a limited amount of time to respond to this, the DOJ and the FBI, to cough this thing up. And they either cough it up and it begins to go where it goes, or, as Senator Grassley says, they suddenly classify it, in which case more questions arise. So yeah, we're just at the opening here.
Yeah, well, the thing I took from Grassley on Fox yesterday, and again last night, was whether or not the document still exists. And we don't know, but I mean, is this something that could have been destroyed during the process? I guess that's another question that needs to be answered. And maybe this effort is to shine a light on it to make sure that it cannot be, that it will be protected, Karl.
Yeah. Well, I know one thing about all this, and that is Senator Grassley is going to keep at it. He is, when he gets it, you know, when he gets his teeth into it, he doesn't let go. And he obviously has met somebody, talked to somebody who is, to him, highly credible, and as a result, we can expect him to continue to dog this. Now, he has to have a partner in this because he's in the Senate where the Republicans do not have a majority and, as a result, do not have subpoena power. But Comer, as chairman of the House Oversight Committee, does have subpoena power. So almost more important than Grassley saying, I got a problem here, let's look into it, is that Comer can say, I can look into it. I'm giving you a subpoena. You have a time by which you have to give me the document.
Karl, at the same time, the Biden administration is going to go on the campaign trail. And here's an ad that basically, we won't play the whole thing for you, but basically they're trying to talk about the economy, saying that over 12 million jobs have been created and that Joe Biden is building an economy that leaves no city or town left behind. Reminds me of No Child Left Behind, of course. How do you think they're doing out of the gate here as the campaign gets underway?
Well, look, I'm not. First of all, what's interesting to me is the pattern. They're buying this ad in Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Nevada. All states that they won, but states that they won narrowly. So they're playing defense in those states, but they're also going on the offense by going after Florida and North Carolina, states that Donald Trump won in 2020, and the Republicans have enjoyed election success in 2022, keeping a Senate seat, winning the governorship in Florida by a big margin. So it's interesting that they're playing a little bit of offense. But look, let's be clear. This is not what their campaign is going to be about. This is spend a little money now, make everybody feel good. But people think the economy stinks, and at the end of the day, they're going to have to do what Barack Obama did in 2012, and that is take the Republican nominee apart. So try and build up your numbers a little bit, draw attention to his values. I'm for the middle class. I'm for work. I believe in work, then the dignity of work. But at the end of the day, this is just sort of a feint here at the beginning. The real serious business is going to be when they go after the Republican nominee or the likely Republican nominee, and they already started it in the first ad. Their first ad opens up with footage of January 6th and talks about MAGA extremists and has footage of Trump with DeSantis. We can see where they're going.
Yeah, every other line is MAGA Republicans, too. Yeah. And that doesn't just come from the president.
MAGA extremists. MAGA
correct.
extremists.
Correct.
Yeah.
Thank you, Karl. We'll check your piece out. Wall Street Journal. Nice to see you, Karl.
Thanks, Karl.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.